Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at the most recent price action and what we think is likely to happen next here when it comes to BTC. Now as I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, then why not check it out, linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free. It's the first place that we go to notify of everything that's going on in crypto. So why not keep your finger on the pulse of crypto by joining us down in Discord, linked in the description below. Let's make a start with this one, right, and talk everything Bitcoin. So just as we like to kind of keep track of all the various different thumbnails and things that I do on the shorter time frame stuff, none of this is real macro. Occasionally I talk a little bit about the macro kind of stuff, but for the most part this is all just tracking kind of those micro movements. Helps me stay on point, keeps me accountable, and also keeps it fully transparent as to whether or not I'm right or wrong. As we can see, a lot of people overreact to price movements, but generally speaking the movement has been to the downside, and that's what's been depicted in pretty much all of the videos for a little while now. A lot of people are frustrated with the fact that I've been saying we have to kind of come down, and I've been saying it for a very long time, okay, and it's one of those, right? Yes, it went up a little bit higher than expected. I was kind of thinking 25 was going to be the kind of top, but obviously it pushed to 31. So yeah, you're wrong in places, right in others, and all that kind of good stuff. So as we can see, most recently, we've been calling for a need to correct down, and that's kind of what's going on here, okay? And we can kind of see that we're talking about these movements. Now, yes, there's a knee-jerk reactions to the upside here. Again, these are actually expected, and we talk about these things in the video. And yeah, so today we're going to draw another horizontal line, vertical line even here, and we're going to add the arrow. And that's what today's video is going to be all about. What's going to happen next? In my opinion. So let's jump down. We're going to take a look at smart money, but before we do that, we're going to jump into Elliott wave. Okay, so Elliott wave theory is a reasonably complex subject. It's not one that is necessarily easy for a lot of people to understand, and I'm going to try to make this as easy as I can. Now we've got a bit more data, I can clear out some of the noise and we can focus in on the other structures. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like this for now. In fact, I probably am going to remove that one as well. Okay, so in here, we have what we would call a potential 5-wave structure. Okay, we have hit the impulsive trigger point. Now, when it comes to trends by Elliott wave theory, a trend is defined as an impulsive movement. An impulsive movement is described as a 5-wave structure that consists of 5, 3, 5, 3, 5. Basically, what that means is there's 5 waves inside a wave 1, there's 5 waves inside a wave 3, and there's 5 waves inside a wave 5, and then there's a 3-wave correction upwards on each of those. Okay, so we can see here that we have the formation of an Elliott wave theory trend, and that trend is going to the downside. Okay, that is an unpopular opinion. People don't like to hear it, but it is simply what it is. Now, there's a couple of different ways we can kind of look at the market here. As you can kind of see, I had this kind of 1, 2, small 4, and 5 to make this third, but it is also very equally possible that we have a wave 4 here, and this is, a wave 3 down here with a wave 4 and a wave 5 still to play out, like so. Okay, that one would be also very interesting. There's lots of different ways of looking at it. We'd have to obviously consist of a 5-wave movement here, and I think if we are to look at it from this point of view, then we are still inside this bigger wave 3, and we'll have another wave 4 at a later date and a wave 5 at a later date. Now, the reason that we would look at it like this would be that there'll be an overextension in this, and we'd also end up with a more inline and more reasonable wave 4 corrective structure here in line with the wave 2 that we had seen. Now, with this wave 4, I still think there's room upwards. Okay, I don't think we're necessarily done yet. And the reason for that is when we have a 5-wave structure, they can appear in a couple of different areas. Okay, you can have a 5-wave structure that is inside a 3-wave corrective pattern, and you could have a 5-wave structure inside that impulsive trend-based pattern that I was just explaining, the 5, 3, 5, 3, 5. Now, on this corrective structure to the upside of wave 4, a wave 4 has to consist of a 3-wave corrective structure. Can be any 3-wave corrective structure for the most part, and one of the ones that I'm seeing inside the data here at the moment is that we're looking for a zigzag pattern to the upside. That means that there's going to be a potential move significantly higher on Bitcoin than we currently see, at least to kind of, see us maybe move up towards 28,300 and 28,362. Now, like all patterns, you can't move up in straight lines, and you should be expecting corrective action. So let me show you what I think is going on down here. We can kind of see ourselves with a potential 5-wave structure like this, with a corrective 3-wave structure like this, followed by an additional 5-wave structure like this, taking us up towards 38.2% retracement, which would be right about here. Okay, 28,362. And as such, I'll remove that off there. Let me just go ahead. I don't know if I've got a label for this one. I'm going to just quickly check to see if I have. Have I got a 38.2? Yes, I do. There we go. So that's a 38.2%. That's typically where a wave four would go. Okay, and you can see the formation of a zigzag pattern here. Now, this formation doesn't have to go as high as that. That's just typically where things go. So you track that final 5th wave movement and see where that kind of goes. Now, if we want to kind of think of this as a 5-wave structure, there's a couple of things we'd have to check. And we would have to kind of come in here. We'd see that we did hit the 1.618. So it's not likely to be a WXYXZ or anything like that. So it looks like this is what's going on. We don't have to track it as a 5-wave structure like this, but I do think that would be overly helpful. So ultimately, it looks like we've got a little bit more upward movement before we can move on down. And if we do hit that 38.2%, then we can be predictive over where our 5th wave movement goes, because a 5th wave movement is going to be between 1.236 and 1.618 right down here, and that gives us our 5th wave target, which gives us our 3rd wave target, which means we'll go up to 38.2% retracement to the upside on that larger 3-wave structure, and before we come down again into that 1.236 to 1.618 on the 5th wave target. And as I kind of scale out of this thing, you would then look at this entire structure down here as a big wave 1 or wave A. Okay, so best case scenario, it's a wave A, we bounce up for a wave B, we come down in a wave C. Alternatively, in a super bearish situation, we would look at this thing as a big wave 1, we come up into a wave 2, then we have a real big drop into a wave 3, 4, and 5. And of course, if we're starting with 5 waves like that, then all of that could either be, just do that for a second, could be a giant A wave with a B wave up and a C wave to come down and so forth, right? So we have to be really aware of what these patterns mean and how they are going to kind of, I guess, I don't want to use the word dictate, but they're going to basically tell us where people are buying and where people are selling, and how the movement of price is going to be an emotional roller coaster of a ride. Okay, so it's great to know these things because this is going to help us trade the space more efficiently and be able to be on the right side of things. Okay, so that's where Elliott wave theory sits. We're going to be looking for a small move to the downside, followed by a slightly bigger move to the upside, where we'll be looking to kind of hit that that 38.2% retracement. Now, on another note, we should not cross down lower based on the 5-wave structure that we've had. We should not cross down lower than 27,125, which is our wave 3 low point down here. I'm going to clear out some of these other lines so we don't have it so messy and get rid of all of those things. And so we can just see exactly what is going on there. And do I need that one? Yeah, our invalidation of our 5-wave structure would happen at 29,096. Okay, so we end up with a pretty good idea as to kind of where things are heading. We have our top at 31,000, and we have our 38.2% retracement. We have our invalidation lines, and we kind of understand the structure of what is going on there. So from an Elliott wave theory point of view, expect a little bit of volatility here. Some fantastic trading opportunities. I think a good short position at around 28,362 might be an interesting thing. If I'm lucky enough to catch that, I will be doing that. Obviously be tracking the internal structure here, putting my stop loss just above the invalidation point and putting my take profit down here at these lows and getting a good risk reward ratio and all that kind of good stuff. Let's go ahead and jump on over into the smart money concepts. Now, smart money concepts, obviously without all the various different zigzaggy lines going on, if you're not familiar with Elliott wave, is slightly easier to understand, but it doesn't give you as much descriptive, target-based analysis. What it does is it tells you more about the structure of the market, and it tells you about the different types of participants from a money point of view, okay, or monetary point of view. So let's go ahead and break this down. What's going on? Well, we have a strong high, so we're unlikely to go up and breach that right now. and we have a weak low, indicating that we're likely to go down and breach that. Okay, so those straight off the bat, we can see that we have a structure here that is of a bearish situation. It still thinks we can go down lower. We also see that we have a change of characterization. This change of characterization goes from bullish to bearish because it's indicated in red. And one of the things that hasn't happened yet is we haven't got a break of structure, or what I would call a CTS, and that would basically be confirmation of this change of character, right? So we've changed the characteristic from bullish to bearish on this hourly chart, but we haven't confirmed that, even though we've had a very significant surge to the downside. Now, Elliott Wave theory already knows that we're trending to the downside, but Smart Money Concepts is waiting for a move up, and then it wants to break that structure by going back down again and confirming that our bearish situation that's in play. Okay, so at the moment that hasn't happened, and so we're waiting for that kind of scenario. I personally would have thought that it would have happened here. Okay, I would have thought that when we crossed this low, that's where our break of structure would have been. So I'm not overly sure whether or not the 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗏 Smart Money Concepts is actually plotting things correctly or not, because I would have just said that as soon as we lost this particular low, and let me grab hold of my line, as soon as we lost this one here at 29,096, then their closed position, which would have been this candle right here, would have created a break of structure or a CTS, and we would have got confirmation. So I'm not entirely certain what's going on with 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗏 and the Smart Money Concepts, but it's not the only thing that I'm seeing here that doesn't make a lot of sense, because right here, this is also a fair value gap that hasn't been filled, and I think this is where we're going to be seeing a significant retracement. Like I said, if all of this is like some kind of wave 1, then that's going to be our wave 2 situation. And likewise, if this all an A wave structure coming to the downside here, then this is our B wave retracement. So it does look like this is the obvious area to be thinking about a move to the upside at some point. Not yet, but at some point, right? And that's 29,300 to 29,900, right? So that's kind of where we're thinking. Now, back into the Smart Money Concepts room, knowing that we don't really have this indicator working perfectly for us, I would say that we have had confirmation of that move to the downside. Now, the other things that are noticeable here is that we are below equilibrium, and a test up at this area is likely to happen at some point. But like I said, I think this area here is actually the one that's going to be in play. We see lots of internal red sell order block areas, so lots of selling pressure on this journey, just looking for price to hit these areas so they can get out, and you can kind of see those there. Other than that, there isn't really terribly too much to talk about on this one. We're obviously below, finding rejection as well, guys, on the 50 EMA, below the 200 EMA, and for the most part, it still looks like we have to move on down. So Elliott Wave theory, Smart Money Concepts, they both kind of are aligned in their way that they're approaching this. I think we are looking at a move to the downside, but there will be some kind of move upwards at some point in the future. We can also see that there's a lot of fair value gaps on the way to the downside here. So, you know, it's going to be a journey. It's not something that I think is going to happen overnight, but, you know, it is what it is. And we'll see how everything kind of does unfold over a period of time. I'm going to wrap this video up right there. If you did find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new, subscribe. But if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, check it out. Linked in the description below. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.
We are not financial advisors, and none of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to risk your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.